it's important that we talk intergenerational. It's important that we learn from each other. And here you are, Libby. Libby is the Chief of Staff of Sheryl Sandberg, the CEO of the wonderful COO from Facebook. And Libby, what are you bringing us?
Well, I think that, college or my university times were the very first time that I ever thought about gender as it would relate to my career. And so for the first 20 years of my life, I remember watching my mother build her career and love her work, teaching me and my brother and my sister the importance of both education and of doing something really meaningful, of building not just a job, but a real career. And today I realize that that was the greatest gift she could have ever given me. Watching my mother build her career and later become a senior executive, I never imagined that I would do anything less. Until my first business class in college. Our professor asked us a really simple, straightforward question. So he asked us to imagine what we'd be doing in 20 years and come back to class with a sense of what our career would look like. Okay, sounds really easy, right? Hardly, not really. So the first thing I did was created a trusty Excel spreadsheet, admittedly my first step in the very wrong direction, and tried to chart everything I was really good at, my strengths and my weaknesses, the places where I felt I could most add value in a company. I tried to imagine my dream job as objectively as I could. So over the next few days, I ran into a group of guys from my class, and we got into a discussion about the section's topic. So I asked them point blank, so, do you guys actually know what you want to do in 20 years? Without pause, the guys looked at me and said, in unison, yeah, a CEO, and continued on with the conversation. It was at that point in time that I realized that these guys knew with some certainty that they really wanted to do something big. So later that afternoon, I decided to ask the women from my section how they were tackling the project, and each one of them told me how she was methodically considering the specific traits that would make her perfect for her dream job. So one of my friends told me that her big dream job was to be a director at a management consulting firm. Another one of my friends told me that she wanted to be a lawyer and then make partner, but wasn't really sure what would happen after that because she would probably be ready to start a family. It became really clear to me, painfully so, that the guys in our class were just dreaming bigger, and not only that, they had the confidence to admit it. We were hiding behind spreadsheets and cells and columns, forgetting to take risks, forgetting to dream big. So later that week, we went back to class, and our professor cold called around the room, and every guy said that he would imagine leading an organization, and the women were less matter-of-fact in their replies. Then our professor started talking about some of the chief executives of major companies, and I realized that there was good reason that none of the women automatically saw themselves as CEOs, that there was a really good reason that that wasn't an immediate response even for me. None of the people on my professor's list looked anything like me because they were all men. So as I said, I think that was the very first time that I thought about how being a woman would impact my place in the workforce. But today, I think about gender constantly. As Steffi mentioned, I work for Sheryl Sandberg at Facebook, and Sheryl cares very deeply about global issues for women and girls. Sheryl and I spend a lot of time on this. We talk about the trends and the trajectory, the facts and the figures. Yet the fact remains, Sheryl's 41. I'm 26. Sheryl and I come from two different generations of women. We come from two generations of women that think very differently about issues and challenges and choices as it comes to our place at home and in the workplace. And I can tell you that even in the span of that short decade and a half, just 15 years, my generation is making much different choices than even Sheryl's might be. I can tell you that the women from my generation suffer from what experts call gender fatigue. We lack the energy to tackle something new and big that we no longer see or experience as a problem in our daily lives. So where the women that came before Many of the women that are here today fought so that they could be the only woman in the boardroom. The women of my generation, we fail to see the opportunity that lies just ahead because we are so busy calculating every precise step of our careers in a chart or in a spreadsheet, forgetting to take risks, forgetting to fight like hell for what we so deserve. The numbers are really clear here. We saw them yesterday. We all know what the numbers are, right? They're 2% of CEOs in the US, 5% of CEOs in the UK. Irene talked about this, somewhere between 10 to 15% of board directors around the world. The reason that that story about my business school class is so important, because even if we're seeing women ascend to the top ranks with some regularity, we're just starting out as less ambitious to begin with. There was a study done of really senior women, really highly qualified women, on the cusp of the most senior levels of management. And those women self-reported. 26% of them said that they didn't want the promotion. There was a survey done of young women and men coming out of college, and only 7% of the women negotiated their salaries out of college, compared to over 57% of the men. These numbers disappoint me. I think everyone in this room knows that women can negotiate just as well as men. And not only that, we can learn to negotiate and close a $40 million deal, and we can negotiate with our partners to pick the socks up off the floor. And let's be honest, the latter is often more difficult than the former. Needless to say, my generation owes it not only to our generation and the future generations that will come, but we owe it to the women that came before to do a really great job of dreaming big, of taking risks, of fighting for the things we really believe in. So in 2008, I was working for another technology company in the Silicon Valley, and I received an offer to work at Facebook. So there was only one problem: leaving my comfortable job at a large established company for something new and unfamiliar. So I didn't take the job at Facebook. Okay, wrong choice. So I spent the next few weeks and many sleepless nights considering the choice, and I realized that I was just paralyzed with fear because I didn't want to step into the new and unfamiliar, step into the unknown. So on a Friday evening at 6:30, I did something I never would have imagined doing. I picked up the phone and I left a voicemail for my recruiter. I told her I'd made a big mistake, but that I was still perfect for the job. And as I hung up the phone, I felt a sense of pride and relief wash over me. I took a risk. And so a half an hour later, my recruiter called me. She told me that the team would still have me. If I had never taken this chance, I don't think I would be at Facebook today. Big mistake. If I had never taken this chance, I don't think that I would be in Munich right now at DLDwomen with all of these amazing women and men, all of you inspirational people who have shared your truths and your messages. I don't think I'd be here to tell you about my big dream. Of course, my dream is that my generation will one day, a day that is hopefully very soon, dream bigger, take more risks, be more ambitious, and just fight for what we really deserve. Let me step back for just a second that, I'm part of this new generation of women. I realize that I have just as much work to do as the rest of the women I'm talking about. I graduated from 5 years ago. I don't know all of the answers about the things my generation thinks, nor do I pretend to. I certainly don't know all of the answers to these questions, but what I do know is that these personal choices are just that, really deeply personal. And what I also know is that we are among the privileged few that have the opportunity to make these choices. So many women do not. We owe it not just to the next generation, as I said before, but we owe it to the women that came before. This is something that is due to the women that worked hard to see us get here, that fought so that we could have the choices to determine exactly what we wanted to do, to have really full lives and to have important work. This is our opportunity now to seize this, to spark our stalled revolution. So I stand here today with hope for a future large with promise and dreams. I stand here today as a woman, asking no favors because I'm a woman, but knocking at the door of equality and acceptance for all. Demanding, not asking for, but unapologetically seeking an equal shot. And what I really hope is that when that door opens for one of the women from my generation, I really hope she stays in. I hope that the woman from my generation walks through that door with her head held high, with a sense of confidence and purpose. Because I can tell you that if she doesn't, there will be a line of 20 guys waiting behind her, waiting to sprint through. We should walk through every door with not just a dream, but the biggest dream we could ever imagine. Walk through that door with a sense of purpose, not just knowing, but really believing that our big dreams are truly worth it. Thanks.